So I'm so excited to be chatting
Yeah.
with Gareth here today. Hello, Gareth.
Hi, Trina.
Fascinating man. So I'm going to be picking your brain with questions that's actually been bothering me, stuck in my mind, my subconscious mind since the very first time we've spoken. So Gareth,
Okay.
yeah, Gareth is a guide and a channel for something that he calls the mother force. We're going to be finding a lot more out about that in a little while. And this isn't live, so this is recorded, but I'll do my very, very best to answer any comments after. And of course, just pop your comments in, and I'm sure Gareth will do his very best. He's a very busy man. His website is True Spiritual Awakening, which we're always going to chat about in just a moment. And Gareth's book is phenomenal. And you can grab that on his Instagram page, you can grab that on his website. And the book, in my understanding, is about your journey through your spiritual awakening into where you are now. That was my understanding when I read it. And that's called waking up from a dream. It's so funny because so many people describe that as the matrix. It's like, oh, everything seems so real. So first of all, big welcome. I'm so excited to
Hey,
pick your
Trina.
brain today. So Gareth, we live really close to each other. We live about
We're neighbors.
minutes drive neighbors, I know. And I love synchronicity and I love divine timing. I was only getting into the idea, more into the idea of portals and kind of more galactic activations when your name was mentioned to me by someone. And when I started researching what you do, this is all about like activating the energy and you acting as a portal for that energy. Isn't that right? So it's right up my alley in my research that I'm doing at the moment. Can't wait to hear more about it. Please correct me if I'm wrong because I fail physics, so physics is not my forte. So first of all, tell us a little bit about why you got into what you do, because I know your background was very different, right?
Yes. So my background, a lot of non-conformity as a teenager, right? Not fitting in, not being happy, feeling like I was born in the wrong place. I was wrong parents, wrong place, just felt like I didn't fit in. I had friends, but I also kind of had the same kind of feeling that yeah, they're just not really my friends, right? I'm part of the group, but I feel like an outsider. And that went on up into my 20s. Just totally just felt, don't know, like can't find happiness for some reason. And eventually came across a book by Louise Hay called You Can Heal Your Life. And was just blown away by just these simplistic little exercises and affirmations that I could do, and they started to slowly change my life. Actually, quite fast. Actually, they started to change my life, and I started to realize that I could change my reality, or my reality changed on the way how I looked at it. So, when I started to change my attitude, my reality started to change around me, and things started to get better. I started to attract more abundance. I started to have more confidence, be able to deal with people better. And then I sort of kind of got to this stage after about two years of that, where I kind of got a little bit frustrated with it. I was like, okay, so I can manifest this, I can manifest that. My life has gotten better, but what's next? And I always had this fear of dying. I was like, I really, like, what's the point of all of this if I just die and then there's nothing at the end of it? So I really had a lot of answers, a lot of questions around that I wanted answered. And I went on a quest to figure out what was going on. And the first person I came across was Dr. Brian Wise, Many Lives, Many Masters. And I got stuck into some of his books, and he was doing past life regression, and it got really went down the wormhole of that. But didn't nothing really happened, right? And I was all about I want to have an experience. So I then came across Bob Monroe around 2009, 2010. Bob Monroe was an out of body guy. He had written three books, bought his books, got really, really interested in this out of body phenomena. I was like, if I can do that, then I know that I live on if the body dies. So started practicing that, and eventually started waking up at night with energy running up and down my body. Felt like there was two jet engines either sides of my ears, and this crazy energy would start building up. Felt like the room was shaking, and my astral body somehow separated from my physical body, and I could move around and I could explore and I could see beings. And that went on for about a year and a half. There was a lot of fun. There was a lot of like relief. First of all, it was relief. I don't die. That was the biggest thing. This was 100% more real than this reality when I got into that out of body state. And I was like, I definitely know I don't die. If the body dies, I live on. So that was a big thing. Um, but I noticed after about a year and a half, I wasn't really making any spiritual progress. Like my quality of consciousness wasn't getting any better. I still had a lot of ego. I still had fears. Um, so I kept meditating. I then started waking up in like classroom scenarios, lucid dreams, fear tests, lots of like decisions in dreams where I had to make the right choice, otherwise I would fail it. Then they started to subside and I got an illness that totally sidetracked me, couldn't meditate, couldn't work. I was at home. It went on for about 3 years, but there was a period that got really bad where I was bedridden for, I don't know, 6, 8 months. Couldn't run. I was running my business from home on my computer and eventually got over that and felt that that was somehow put on my path to burn off a whole lot of karma. And then in 2016, um, I had what I can describe as a spiritual awakening in my local gym. You probably know Go Gym. I was in there one morning at 7 a.m. Um, just for some reason, I had the feeling that something was trying to communicate with me. There was music playing and there was light coming in through the window. And I kind of paused for a moment and I said, wow, I said, that noise is not outside of me. I said, I'm hearing that inside. And the sun, I said, the sun is not out there. I said, the sun is in my consciousness. And as soon as I said that, there was what I could describe as two pieces of Velcro ripping in my brain. And um, what I can only describe as a lucid dream. So I don't know if your viewers have ever experienced a lucid dream. It's where you wake up in a dream and you know that you're in a dream state and you know that your body is in the bed dreaming, right? So I had had a number of lucid dreams, and this was a lucid dream, but it was the universe having a lucid dream in my identity. So the universe woke up in this dream and became lucid. So it was like God woke up, God had been dreaming itself into me. And all of my life was like this ongoing dream where I was totally caught up in the illusion of my life and my worries and all of this. And all of a sudden, in that moment, I knew what I was. I knew I was something much greater than Gareth. Um, from that moment on, all of my fear disappeared, just gone. I had got this huge download in that moment. I knew that I was God or the universe. It had just woken up in me. And I knew that I was the walls. I knew that I was the sounds. I was all of that. And I was also the other people. I was the other people. I had woke up in this form here, but I was still dreaming in all of the others. And
This
all
is
of that came in.
amazing. That makes sense to me. And I know this is going to blow a few people's mind, but if you just bear with us, it's all going to make perfect sense. So, for example, just many pioneers of quantum physics and things like that, they talk about dimensions and different dimensions, different parallel dimensions in different universes. Sounds to me like you and the other um, um, teleported essentially lucidly to all of the quantum dimensions at the same time, something like that.
Yeah, so I just supreme knowledge flooded in. I just the knowledge from that supreme being, whatever was dreaming itself into me, came in, flooded into my system. I knew that I was that young guy over in the corner with his t-shirt up, showing his abs off. I was him. I was dreaming myself into him as well, but I was still sleep in that one, right? But just I woke up in this. But my nervous system couldn't maintain that level of awareness. So what happened was opened up for about 15, 20 minutes, started to close down over the next hour. Next day, it was gone, right? This realization that I was God. That's what I felt like. It was like a God realization. But the next day I woke up, I was now free. I felt like something had snapped in me. And what happened was my identification with my ego had broke. And I was just now walking around like all the fear was gone. And I knew that at the center of what I was unbounded awareness. It was awake to itself. So it wasn't me going, oh, I think I know about this awareness. It was the awareness was now awake. It knew. And what happened, followed that was I would fall asleep at night and it would feel like I wasn't actually sleeping. So my awareness was just online all the time. It was awake. So that was the start of my journey. I'd entered what's known as self-realization, and that was the start. Then I became a spiritual seeker. I started researching. I started, learning about all these different Eastern traditions, and I started my journey. And it just started. It kept unfolding and unfolding and unfolding from there on, over about a period of about 7 years.
So, in the terms of, like, say, trance or trance mediumship, or a blending of God, God source, angelic beings, whatever your understanding is, when they blend with us and we become one, and we can't sustain that energy indefinitely, and they can't sustain our dimension indefinitely, but they do leave us with supreme knowledge, understanding. All of their knowledge is shared with our knowledge that continues to download. It does sound, it absolutely, I do sense and feel from what you're saying that you are like a gateway or portal was opened up, to transmute all of that. But it does sound like God source was blending with you in some way to transmute or to download that information that will always stay with you. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, so we're all a part of it. We're all individual units of that one supreme being. We're all, every single
I
one of us. I'm
I
not
agree.
special. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But we
yeah.
don't always put our
It just
attention.
so happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't always realize we don't put our attention. That's why if you hurt someone else, you're hurting yourself. If you're kind to that person, you're kind to yourself. We're all elements of that. But my understanding would be we're little elements of God's source. And of course, we're all beautiful, supreme beings. But this is something different. This sounds to me like not everyone would sustain, even for 24 hours, that level of energy and that level of supreme knowledge. Not everyone would. So why do you think you were able to sustain and hang on to that element of God's source?
Okay, so I got a I basically got a taste of the very end. Um yeah, pretty much there was a journey, right? And I got a taste of the very end of the journey right at the very start. So that's what set me off. I was like, I want to get back to that. That's, and there was nothing that was going to stop me. So then I went on my spiritual quest, finding teachers, Indian saints, gurus, finding all these different energies. So also what happened to me was I realized that my nervous system was very important for to hold these greater states of awakening. And I started to experience a kundalini awakening, right? Which is our basically our energetic life force that resides at the base of the spine. That started to awaken and it started to rise up through all of my chakras, through the central column of the spine. And eventually it got into the brain. So my understanding was that that rewired my nervous system, the hemispheres of the brain, and I was then able to hold greater states of awakening through that. What came next then was unity consciousness. So this feeling of subject object completely collapsed, and it felt like the boundaries of what I was disappeared, and my consciousness sort of merged out beyond the confinements of me and panoramically, I noticed that no matter where I was home. I could be sat at a bus stop and it would be like sitting at my comfy couch at home. I was home no matter where I was. And that was unity consciousness that opened up about 3 years after that first awakening.
Well, are you able to be consciously aware of being existing in this planet? It sounds like you can, and aware of your body and what you need to do, and your toes in that realm as well of awareness or God source.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's almost it's not like I'm parallel processing or I'm active in another reality. Although kind of it's almost like all of these states are within us, right? It's not like we're attaining anything. It's almost like we're uncovering what's blocking them because they're already there. So it's like we're getting rid of layers of what's obscuring them, right? So as I was taking them away, they were revealing themselves, and there was more and more. And then eventually my consciousness um got to a point where it somehow exited reality and it merged with primordial consciousness. So consciousness before it became conscious was primordial. It was just nothingness. It was just no up, no down, no male, female. It was just absolute void. And at one stage, my consciousness merged with that, became that. And it sort of felt like when I came back from it, I was now noticing that everything I looked at it almost felt like it wasn't real, right? There was no past, there was no future. When I would look at something, as soon as I turned away, it would crumble. It just didn't exist. When I would put my attention on something, it was almost like it was manifesting right in front of me. And that went on for, I was like 2 years. I didn't really know what was happening. I had no one to really tell me what was going on. And eventually, then the soul started to re-enter. It was almost like I started to come back and it started to warm up. And what happened was these divine forces started to come in with me. So my understanding was that as I exited reality, my soul went outside of creation, and on the re-entry back in, it created almost like a conduit through a membrane. And what happened was then these divine forces could come from that reality down into creation. And those are the energies that I work with now. It's like it's what they would call in the Vedic tradition, Sat, Chit, and Ananda, truth, consciousness, bliss. And them energies become organized around me and they make change in other people's systems. So that's what happens. I sit and I meditate with people and I work with people and I do retreats, and then they get to have these energies. I introduce them to them. They go off and then they kind of don't really need me. Once they get a taste of it, it's like the energy starts coming for them people. But that seems to
Wow.
be the work I've
No,
fallen
it's
into.
mind
Yeah.
blowing. It's so cool. I understand what you're saying. I understand it. I probably come from a more of a term of like frequencies and
Yeah.
vibration. But 100%, I get what you're saying. Um, so two questions on that, because I know people are going to want to know, can everyone achieve the same journey that you did? Can everyone, or is this different? Is it unique to each person?
So it's our birthright is awakening, right? This is what we all the consciousness, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. Its goal is to wake up through all of us, right? We're all its parts. It's evolving and it's evolving through us. So it's in its interest for all of us to get this. Now, will everybody get it? No, they won't. Because I'm not saying that they won't ever get it, but just not at this moment, right? Because there's like souls. We've got old souls and we've got new souls coming in, right? And again, and I'm talking from experience, right? As I was going through my awakening, I was shown previous life. Now, I mean, when I was shown them, I could walk around, I could pick things up off tables, I could, I was there. And I was shown that in my past three previous lives, I had some degree awakened. In my previous life, I was like a devotee of a very famous Indian guru. Um, so I know that I've gone through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. I had awakened previously in previous incarnations, and that's why it was a lot easier for me in this lifetime. Now, you also get a mixture, right? So you have these old souls who've done thousands and thousands of cycles, and then you have a like newer souls coming in, right? And generally what happens is the older souls, as they start to figure out the game, they start to learn the rules to the game, they can then help the newer souls along, right? So it's not that the newer souls won't ever get it, but they'll just be at different periods, different times.
I completely 100% agree. So it resonates strongly with me that everyone everyone is here to evolve, to awaken, to enlighten, to find a balance between their soul self and this human incarnation and to coexist in a really lovely way. That's what I feel. It sounds so easy. It's not. It can be really challenging. I absolutely also believe that not everyone is ready to reach that place. So they may have astral traveling out of body, they may, be mediums, they may be all of this thing. But again, exactly as you said, it requires multiple things. Trauma is a denser frequency, and that's going to prevent someone from awakening or to align the energy. The physical energy, our physical body, we are what we are, and our intentions. So if somebody doesn't really want to go down that path, they're probably not going to go down that path. If their conscious mind or the ego mind is so strong and they're saying, yeah, sure, why would I need to do that? They're probably not going to. It sounds to me like you trusted and you followed the flow, which I think are key elements. So tell me this you said that you are a portal, so meaning that you are the to transition those really beautiful energies and to help the physical energy and awakening in someone here in this incarnation. Would that be what you do? I know I'm oversimplifying it.
So so during my awakening, right, I realized that there were certain energies that I needed, right? There was an energy called Shakti that I needed for my kundalini. This Shakti was somehow able to stimulate my kundalini, and it helped with the awakening. Had the full kundalini awakening. So these were transmissions coming from other masters or teachers that I discovered later on in my awakening. And at the time I didn't know, but I came across this one teacher, and he introduced me to this energy of what I call the sat, and he calls the sat. Um, and that's what took me further. That's what took my soul, pulled my soul out into this Brahman consciousness. So that's the energy that's active around me. So
When you say
is
energy,
it
is
for
this like a consciousness energy, like Christ consciousness, or is this is like a guide or personality?
No, so it's not a personality. It's not human. It hasn't got any of that them characteristics, but it has an intelligence. It feels dynamic and magnetic. And how I used to experience it was it would pull me into samadhi or really deep meditation, and I would feel it coming. So, after I spent a couple of days with this teacher, I left, and then all of a sudden I noticed that there was this energy that would come and just kind of come in through the top of my head, and it would feel like it was pulling me into meditation over and over and over again. And this wasn't me. This wasn't, because I've had a meditation practice for years, and it would be me going, today I'm going to meditate. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to get into a nice meditative state. This was something. This was almost like the ocean pulling the droplet of itself back into itself. And I kind of didn't have any say in it. It was like coming at strange times during the day. I would go into work. I was still running my business at the time. And all of a sudden it'd be like, oh, I need to sit down. And boom, I was gone. Like 2 hours would pass, and I would come back, and this was going on and on and on. And after about 3 months, the process of what was meant to happen actually happened. Um, the energy had done what it was supposed to do in my system. Yeah.
Let me ask you, why do we need that kind of transmission, or why can't I just get that now, or somebody listening get that? Why do we need to put attention and energy to bring that in?
Okay, so I realized that I could not do this myself. Just couldn't. Just I was like, I can read every book. I cannot get them energies by myself. Just cannot generate them. So it's hard to explain, but it's like there were certain beings that came here, back in time, right? Like Krishna, Christ, and they were, personal versions of the absolute, right? Whatever you want to call it, God. They came down with them energies, and then they, sort of passed the torch on to the next group of like their disciples. So almost every single teacher that we come across has somehow been connected to that one them few masters who have come here. So the energy had been passed from lineage to lineage, from master to disciple, all the way down. And that's how I got it. I had to go. I knew there was beings like Mother Mira, Amma. I had to go and I had to see them to get certain energies. It's grace. It's like I realized that me as the individual, I cannot figure this out. I need the grace from the absolute to come in. And it usually comes in the form of a guru or a teacher or an avatar.
Beautiful. That's just so beautiful. So they are essentially reminding you that the key of that cellular, I say cellular DNA ability, and they're just showing you the key so you can unlock the door and another door and
Yes.
another door. Fab. So this tells me you either have that, and when I say DNA, I don't kind of mean human DNA. You either have that soul DNA or you don't. Yeah, really resonates with me because in lots of LBL sessions, people are told, and even my own, it's shown that all of these qualities and abilities. And I know when I tried to reach up to one, I couldn't get it. I couldn't. And what I call God's source said, um, it's not for you. This is for you. So God or source, when it implanted into your soul DNA, or it's not, and they know the bigger picture. And it's just the way my brain could understand the information I was getting. So we all have these unique abilities, but we do need to have them unlocked or activated sometimes, like this unique.
Yes.
Completely get that. Wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you for explaining it to me in a way that I can understand. So you call it the mother force. So is it feminine, or just because I hear mother, I think feminine? I might be
So
wrong.
the energies you okay, so yeah, in a sense, yes. So early on, I mentioned that there was different energies. There was this Shakti energy, which is feminine. It's the feminine force that kind of that the universe runs on, right? We've got Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is consciousness, and Shakti is that dynamic energy that lights up the world, right? So that Shakti was one of the transmissions that started coming through, and then the other energy I spoke about was this Sat. Now the Sat wasn't feminine or male, but it was dynamic, and the two of them at once they didn't seem to mix. It was either I put my attention on one and the other one would disappear, or if I went put my attention on that one would recede. And after a certain period of time, and I went through my awakening, all of a sudden the two of them kind of brought the same qualities in. They just sort of became one. I think what actually happened was the dance of Shiva and Shakti in me completed. The male and the masculine and the feminine merged as one, and then I could bring them in as the one. So about exactly 2 years ago, I also had this experience where the Divine Mother, when I say the Divine Mother, there's God, right? And this was how it was shown to me. There was a Trinity at the top. There was this absolute nothingness, right? This Brahman, and from that Brahman evolved God. So God is this sea of pure potential, and I was shown it. And when I was shown it, I became it. I was actually there in it. I was part of it. I knew how everything worked. But again, couldn't stay there. Only could, manage to stay there for 90 minutes or so. And that was the mind of God to me. And then the mind of God split itself into two. And the second part was what they called the Divine Mother. And she was the creator of all of our realities. She was the one that was veiling us. So we were entering her creation veiled. And she was also the one trying to awaken us with her Shakti, her divine energies. So I found that there was three. I had an experience of all three of them. I had the Brahman, I had the Godhead, and then I had the experience where the Divine Mother experienced herself through my physical form and almost birthed galaxies through every cell of my body. And it was just incredible and beautiful. And after that experience, it was like she left a quality in me, and I call that the mother force. It just feels like her energy, it stayed. And yeah, that's what I use in my meditations with people I work with.
I love it. So just to recap, I know you bring people into these meditations. You bring people in
Yes,
over online in Zoom into these transmissions, this activation, and they'll probably receive out of it whatever they need to receive. And
exactly,
then,
exactly.
yeah, different elements, different energies at the time they need to receive it. I completely get that. And you do it to retreats all around the world. Your book, just incredible work. I don't know where you get your energy from. So, first of all, like a triangle is the strongest force in the world. So it makes sense to me that there's a trinity, triangle force in a geometric point of view. That makes perfect sense as well. This is incredible. So, do you still need to put your conscious attention in order to access, or kind of a little bit like me, they just blend in and they blend out? Or what's that like for you now, day to day? You're a father, you get up, bring the kids to school, you fix the car, you go for a run. How do these integrate with you every day?
So they're there. It's almost like I have access to them at any instant I want. So and it's like I work with people quite a bit. So I'm doing one-to-one sessions, I do little groups, and as soon as I turn on the computer and I meet with a person, that energy just floods in my system. Like I would start say 9 a.m., turn on my computer, I have so and so from America, right? The once I start with that person, the energy starts coming in. It's there for the rest of the day. It's like there, it's there when I'm going to bed at night time. If I get up on the weekend and I decide I'm not doing anything, I'm going to go for a run, I'm just going to, it sort of just goes into the background, right? But I don't care. It's almost like it's really nice when it's there, but if it's not there, it's no big deal because it's there whenever I want it. And it's
Yep.
not like I ever wake up and I'm fearful. Early on, I used to be terrified that it would leave, absolutely terrified. It was like, oh my God, I have this amazing sacred gift and I never wanted to leave. And now it's like I just know it's there always and it's never going to leave me. And yeah, I don't worry about it.
It really resonates with me, like really, really does. And so many people say, as a medium, as a channel, is it there all the time? And I'm going, no, it's like they can't be bothered watching me watching Grey's Anatomy. They're there when I need them to be there. And it just
Yeah,
casts a
yeah.
slight moment to or not. But I love the trust and new faith that you have, and you've built that up, and you built up, the power and the energy. Do you ever get tired, energetically tired, or does the energy transmute through your body to prevent you getting tired?
So it's funny that you say that. So early on, I used to get depleted working with people. I would notice that if I might pick something up from a person if they had a big release, and I go, oh, and I might have to go and get a healing from somebody else afterwards. And then again, that when I talked about the Shiva and the Shakti, the merging of the two, it was almost like I tapped into like a universal supply of it. So I had my own kind of transmission of it, but then once I tapped into this universal supply, I could fill the stadium with it, right? There's no end to it. I can sit in it on a retreat for 7 days, keep the energy going, no problem, never depletes me. I don't get tired. It never, drops out or cuts out. It's there always. Um, Physically, I tend to sort of look after myself. I go running, I do yoga. Um, do I need to do that? I don't know. It's just something that I'm drawn to do at the moment because I kind of my spiritual practice for myself, like I don't really meditate anymore. It really just doesn't bring me anywhere or do anything for me anymore. So I kind of put that time that I used to sit in meditation now into like doing yoga or going for a run or stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, that makes a lot of sense because I obviously work in a completely different way than you do. Your way sounds so much cooler. And I do get tired, and I know a lot of other mediums get tired. Not because I'm picking up anything, it's just because I forget that I have a physical body sometimes, and that, we burn energy when we do these things. I love the idea, love it that there is, and I mean, it makes so much logical sense that there's a universal source and abundant like a battery that anyone can draw on anytime. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. So, When you have a retreat, how do you help people? You said you can hold the energy for 7 days. That's phenomenal. So, what kind of people can you help? What kind of people listening to this can come to you for a retreat and one-to-ones?
So I mean, anybody could come, right? But I mean, they don't. Look. So I run them. You know, I do some in Portugal, in Ireland, in America, and I love to see people who've come from really far away, right? I love seeing that. I love seeing people from America that come. You know, I'm doing a retreat. I'm actually starting a retreat tomorrow, and there must be 15 people coming from the United States. And I'm just like, those are the people I want to work with. Those are the people who have spent money on a plane ticket, taken the time off to come see me. I want them on my retreat because I know they're dedicated. I don't want people window shopping. I don't want people going, I think I want to go on that retreat. Maybe you know, it's not that I turn them away, but I want people who really want to be there. I really do.
Hear you?
Because
Yeah.
they want it. Yeah, they want it.
We don't need to. I've got, after 10 years now, I've come to the point where I don't push anyone into anything. I just say, this is the
Yeah,
information. If it resonates with you, trust your heart. If it doesn't, that's okay. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. So, anyone from around the world, I highly recommend that you plug in to one of Garrett's retreats. So I came to a conclusion 4 or 5 years ago that, probably 4 years ago, I don't want to heal anyone. So I have worked with energy and move energy, manipulate energy. And I came to the conclusion, I'm not here to heal anyone. I want to show people how to heal themselves. It sounds to me like you are not healing people, that you're helping people reach that state of energy and enlightenment so that they can go off on themselves and do the work themselves after. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I don't heal, I don't take away anyone's problems, I don't make their lives any better. In fact, I probably do the opposite when they go through a spiritual awakening, right? Because we know everything gets worse before it gets better. But I mean, basically what I do is I help people remember their true essence, right? Their true nature. And yes, this is what happens. Some of the people that I work with, then they go off and then they start their own groups and they start working with their people. So yeah, that's what it is. It's like a kind of a collective consciousness spreading out across the world.
And
Yeah,
so many people are having an awakening. It's happening rapidly. It started,
yeah,
during the pandemic. It's happening rapidly, and I know a lot of people are very confused out of there. So I highly recommend that you read Garrett's book. It's going to talk you through everything. It's going to talk you through how he felt, because awakenings, in my opinion, never happen once. It's like multiple awakenings, little aha
yes.
moments. Some of them smaller, and some of them are whopping, dragging us, kicking and screaming through the forest. But it's shifting our awareness and our consciousness and opening up to new ideas. That's definitely what happens. It definitely sounds through your journey that you're having multiple awakenings into that state of amazingness. So, what would you leave everyone with today?
Well,
What
everybody's awakening is totally unique to them, right? So there's no two awakenings that are the same. So the divine wants to wake up through each individual, right? And have a unique expression through that individual. So so yes, you could read my book, but your awakening might not be necessarily how my awakening unfolded. But there are definitely similarities. There's different, like it's a journey, and there's different stages along that journey or stops that we can get off, and there are signposts that we can go, oh, I stopped at that stop, that station, and this is what happens there, and you can spend a bit of time there, and we can relate to one another, right? Because there's similarities, but the unfolding itself is unique to each individual.
I 100% agree. And I get so many clients and students saying, I want to see a guide. I want to do, 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 I want to do, do. And this is the thing, we're all different, we're all unique, we're all perfectly divinely different. And it's going to be different for everyone. But I still think they should grab your book. It's really going to help them. And grab the retreat, because that's going to help their energy. Is going to help. As you say, Kundalini, I feel and sense, and what I'm seeing in my mind's eye is something really different than Kundalini. And this is something that Gareth and a handful of other people can only do for you. So it may not resonate with you, that's fine, because we all feel drawn, but this is something that the genetic code, the soul genetics, has handed him. And he has consciously, with his free will, chosen to activate that and to do
Yeah.
that to other people. So I highly recommend that they grab that. So your website, True Spiritual Awakening, which is really,
TrueSpiritualAwakening.eu. Yeah.
and your
Yes.
podcast is jam-packed with incredible stuff. I love it. It's so diverse. I love it. And that's endless possibilities. So Gareth, you're just amazing. I'm so privileged
Thank
to have
you.
you around the corner. I know that you're super duper busy. We still need to grab a coffee at some point. And I
Absolutely.
definitely have you back to chat even more about
I'd love to.
the world that we're living in and this incredible world that we're living in. It's so full of potentials, right? And how everyone can access the best potential in this planet. So thank you so much, Gareth. I'm Tríona, delighted to be chatting.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody who tuned in and watched this. Thanks, Trina. Thank you so much. Take care.